Bulletins, larger than life.
We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, India's voice to the world. I'm Nepakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next hour. Ukraine continues to advance deeper into Russia's Kursk region. US calls Ukraine incursion a real dilemma for Putin. As tension escalates, Israel issues new evacuation orders for southern Gaza. Meanwhile, US approves more than $20 billion of weapons sales to Israel. Japan set for yet another new leader as Japanese Prime Minister PM Kishida to step down as ruling party leader in September. Judgment Day for Thailand Prime Minister Srettha as court rules on dismissal case. India's resident doctors calls off strike after assurance from the government on safety demands, while the investigative agency CBI takes over probe into Kolkata doctors' rape murder case. And on to the details now. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his troops now control 74 settlements in Russia's Kursk region. This comes after a week-long Ukrainian assault into Russia that Kyiv says is about forcing Moscow into making peace. Meanwhile, Russia says it has stopped Ukrainian armored mobile groups from moving deeper into Russia near the Kursk settlements. DD India correspondent Megami Lim reports from Kyiv.
Ukraine's commander-in-chief Alexander Syrskyi said on Tuesday his forces had captured an additional 40 square kilometers into Russian territory over the past 24 hours. This could mean that Ukrainian troops now may control more than 1,000 square kilometers of land inside Russia's Kursk region. President Zelensky said earlier the territory that was captured was used by Russian forces to carry out cross-border strikes against Ukraine's Sumy region. He added that in this month alone, the Sumy region had been targeted more than 2,000 times by Russian missiles, rockets, drones and mortars. Russia's defense ministry said it has now stopped attempts by Ukrainian forces to advance deeper into their territory. Although Ukraine has been tight-lipped about its goals in the Kursk region, a foreign ministry spokesperson said on Tuesday that the operation was about preventing Russia from sending in more reinforcements to Ukraine's eastern front, where Russian forces have been making steady gains, specifically towards Pokrovsk, a key Ukrainian military stronghold. But fighting has not relented there. The Ukrainian military said Russian forces had stepped up their attacks in that sector. There were reportedly 52 battles on the Pokrovsk front over a 24-hour period, an increase from the average 28 to 42 battles a day. It remains to be seen whether or not the impact of the assault will bring some or any relief to Ukrainian soldiers fighting in Ukraine's east. Megumi Lim in Kyiv reporting for DD India.
While Ukraine says Russian forces stepped up their attacks on the Pokrovsk front in eastern Ukraine over the last 24 hours, Ukraine also reported the largest number of battles in the area in a single day in a week. The increase in fighting comes after Ukraine mounted a surprise cross-border incursion into Russia's Kursk region. Some military analysts see this as an attempt to divert Russian forces from their main offensives in the east. Disha Chandishova has more from Moscow on this.
Local authorities in Russia's border region of Kursk say the Russian military are destroying the separate groups of the Ukrainian military, and they say the border town of Suja is under the Russian control. The Russian defense minister reported on Tuesday that it foiled the Ukrainian attempts to advance deeper in a number of settlements in the Kursk region. The MOD says Ukraine lost over 2,000 people in Kursk region since the incursion began a week ago. In Belgorod, Krasnoyarski district that was evacuated earlier this week, governor said the situation was normalizing and that the residents would perhaps be able to return back to their houses as early as on Wednesday. In the meantime, 2,000 more people have been evacuated from the border areas of the Kursk region. The emergency ministry says 900 tons of humanitarian aid have been delivered to the Kursk residents. The UN Human Rights Agency voiced concerns about the possible impact of Ukraine's incursion on the civilian population. Russian officials say Ukraine will regret the incursion. In Donbass, 2 people have been killed as a result of the Ukrainian shelling of a bus with civilians in the city of Lysychansk on Tuesday, and more than 30 people have been wounded. The Russian Ministry of Defense says Ukrainian military lost some 1,800 people on the front lines over the past day. Dasha Chirneshova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
Well, reiterating that U.S. officials are in constant touch with the Ukrainians, U.S. President Joe Biden said that Ukraine's military incursion into Russia has created a real dilemma for Russian President Vladimir Putin. About 1,000 Ukrainian troops rammed through the Russian border in the early hours of August, 6 with tanks and armored vehicles. Answering questions from reporters upon arrival in New Orleans, Biden said he has been briefed every 4 to 5 hours for the last 6 to 8 days on Ukraine's action. Well, the U.S. has provided billions of dollars of weaponry to Ukraine intended largely for defensive purposes as Ukraine tries to repel the Russian invasion launched in February 2022. Biden in May authorized Kyiv to launch U.S.-supplied weapons at military targets inside Russia that are supporting an offensive against the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. And as the tension escalates in West Asia also, the Israeli military on Tuesday issued new evacuation orders for southern Gaza. The Israeli military has ordered people living in more areas of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza to immediately evacuate as it prepares to act forcefully. The Israeli military spokesperson has released an updated version of the color-coded map of Gaza that orders the evacuation of more blocks designated by the Israeli military. Also, the United States on Tuesday approved the sale of $20 billion in fighter jets and other military equipment to Israel. The Pentagon in a statement said that the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has approved the sale of military equipment, including fighter jets, tank cartridges, explosive mortar cartridges, and army vehicles to Israel. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, in a post on social media platform X, thanked U.S. officials for helping Israel maintain its qualitative military edge in the region and the U.S. commitment to Israel's security. Earlier this week, Washington released $3.5 billion to Israel to spend on U.S. weapons and military equipment in line with Congress legislation. Diplomatic efforts are in overdrive to try and bring tensions down in the Middle East amid fear Iran could carry out a strike on Israel as early as this week. Some of U.S. President Biden's top officials are now on the ground in a bid to avert a large-scale regional war. Sarah Coates has more from Tel Aviv.
An extremely dangerous time in the region as Israelis brace for this anticipated, promised Iranian attack in the wake of the assassination of the head of Hamas's Politburo, Ismail Haniyeh, which Tehran blames on Israel, despite Israel not coming out to claim it. Now, over the past day, Hamas has actually fired a rocket into the center of Israel right here in Tel Aviv, that long-range missile actually falling in the sea just behind me. Now, as we go to where diplomacy is in overdrive, Amos Hochstein, a senior U.S. advisor, he is in Beirut, the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Israel, and also there's Brett McGurk in Egypt ahead of these key peace talks happening on Thursday, as these diplomats and these key negotiators really try and get this deal across the table for a ceasefire and a release of these Israeli hostages in a bid to try and diffuse tensions. Now, it does remain unclear as to whether Hamas will actually be sending a delegation. It previously said it wouldn't, but there is a lot of pressure from these key mediators like the Egyptians for the group to actually send some of its members to sit down at the table and try to make a deal with Israel. But once again, certainly a very dangerous time in the region. Still no change in directive from the Israeli military, although what we are being told is to know where a shelter is that would be close by. Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv for DD India.
Well, a media report says Japanese Prime Minister PM Kishida will not run for re-election at Liberal Democratic Party race. Report says Kishida has notified his governing party executives on Wednesday that he will step down as ruling party leader in September, ending a 3-year term. He was elected president of his governing Liberal Democratic Party in 2021 and his term expires in September. The report comes after Kishida, targeted by his party's corruption scandals, has suffered dwindling support ratings that have dipped below 20%. And Thailand's Constitutional Court is set to decide the fate of Prime Minister Srettha in a ruling that could see him dismissed after less than a year in office and plunge the country into deeper political uncertainty. Srettha, a real estate tycoon with no background in politics, is the subject of a complaint from ex-senators appointed by the former military government, who say he violated the constitution when he gave a cabinet post to a former lawyer who was once jailed. If Srettha is removed, the 500-seat parliament must convene to choose a new prime minister, with the prospect of more upheaval in a country dogged for 2 decades by coups and court rulings that have brought down multiple governments and political parties. Well, thousands of opposition protesters turned out in the Slovak capital on Tuesday to demonstrate against recent moves by the government of Prime Minister Robert Fico in justice and culture policy. In the latest move to anger the opposition, Slovakia's culture minister Martina Simkovikova dismissed the directors of the National Theatre and Gallery last week. Protesters have previously rallied against changes to Slovakia's criminal code and a revamp of the country's public broadcaster. Leaders of the opposition party said Simkovikova was destroying the country's cultural institutions. Fico returned to public duties in July following an assassination attempt in May that required hours of surgery and weeks of recovery. And Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado said on Tuesday that she is working to make President Nicolas Maduro accept a negotiated government transition after the disputed July 28th presidential election, in which Venezuela's National Electoral Council declared Maduro the winner. Speaking to international journalists via Zoom, Machado revealed that opposition members had been detained at the Helicoid prison complex, a site known for alleged government human rights violations. Machado also said that if Maduro persists in his refusal to relinquish the presidency, Venezuela could experience its largest migration wave ever, with potential impacts on neighboring countries like Colombia.
Maduro has wrongly evaluated his options. We must pressure him so he understands that his best option is to accept the terms of a negotiated transition. I think the Colombian government is conscious that if the government of Maduro holds on to power, we'll see the largest migration wave so far in days or weeks. We are in a situation where everyone in Venezuela is afraid for their well-being, their life and their freedom. That is the truth. But we are not going to give in, we are not going to give up, and we are not leaving the streets.
Well, Youth 20, the G20 Youth Engagement Group, kicked off its summit at the Municipal Theatre in Rio de Janeiro in honor of International Youth Day. The event counts with the participation of all the G20 countries and invited organizations. The motto of the summit is Youth Leading the Construction of a Fair World and a Sustainable Planet. Youth delegations participated in the summit to discuss their concerns of the climate crisis. Concerns such as climate refugees, inequality and food security were addressed by the participants. And forensics experts in Brazil, Sao Paulo, had by Tuesday identified 35 of the bodies, the 62 people who died in the crash of an ATR-72 plane in a residential area, killing all aboard. The Brazilian Air Force transport plane flew the remains of 3 passengers back to Cascavel, from where the aircraft departed in southern Brazil. So far, the morgue said it has released 17 bodies to family members along with death certificates. Investigators recovered the plane's so-called black box containing voice recordings and flight data and are working on them at Brazil's Aviation Accident Investigation Center in Brasilia to find the cause of the accident. A preliminary report is expected within 30 days, with work starting on the plane's engines that were taken to Cenepa's facility in Sao Paulo. And Bhopal's airline president said in a video statement shared on Tuesday that the company is ensuring unrestricted assistance to families of the 62 people who died on a flight on Friday last week near Sao Paulo in Brazil.
Como presidente e cofundador dessa empresa, estou aqui para dizer:
As a president and co-founder of this company, I am here to say that this is a moment of great sadness for all of us in the Vapas family. Our entire team is focused on ensuring unrestricted assistance to the families of the victims. We are making logistical and operational efforts so that everyone receives our effective support in these moments.
Nosso efetivo apoio.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. US military to conduct annual summertime live fire drills in South Korea to exercise deployment readiness. New Pixel smartphones with deeper integrations of its artificial intelligence technology launched at Alphabet's Bay View campus in California. And Mpox declared as public health emergency of continental security in Africa owing to the rapid rise in cases.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Moving on, South Korea and the United States are set to begin annual summertime military drills next week to ramp up their capability to counter North Korea's weapons and cyber threats. The Ulchi Freedom Shield exercises come as North Korea continues to develop its nuclear and missile programs. The exercise will be conducted from August 19th to 29th. The drills are expected to reflect realistic threats across all domains, including the North's missile threats, GPS jamming, and cyber attacks. South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff Colonel Lee Sung-chun said that the alliance will further strengthen its capability and posture to deter and defend against weapons of mass destruction. It is also said to be among the largest exercises in the Indo-Pacific region, which will be joined by member states of the United Nations Command. And for more, we have William Denselor joining us on this. Well, William, the Allies exercise comes amid growing concerns over Pyongyang's continued weapons development push. Can you tell us more about the preparations? Any reactions on this as of now?
Well, these annual military drills between South Korea and the United States are all about improving the combined capabilities of the two countries' militaries. That, according to officials, it's estimated that around 19,000 South Korean troops will be participating in these annual drills. We don't know how many from the United States will be taking part in these drills that are set to last between the 19th to the 29th of this month. We do know, however, that according to officials, a key objective is to deter and defend faced with the threat of weapons of mass destruction from North Korea. Officials say that this includes capabilities regarding missile threats, GPS jamming, cyber attacks, and the risk posed by those threats. There also, it's been confirmed, will be some exercising involving live ammunition training as well. So certainly a raft of exercises, and this comes amid threats from North Korea, including recent news that Pyongyang has moved around 250 missile-capable launchers with nuclear capabilities to its front lines.
Right. William, also it will be the first time the government-led exercise will reflect a scenario simulating damage from a North Korean nuclear weapon compared with last year's edition that focused on preparing for a nuclear crisis.
Well, officials say that this is all about adapting to current threats that we're seeing on battlefields around the world. So certainly adapting as much as possible, especially compared to last year. So these militaries trying to be as responsive as possible should there be a threat from North Korea. As far as Pyongyang is concerned, well, they've always maintained that these types of annual drills between the two allies, the US and South Korea, are a precursor for an invasion. That is why last year we saw North Korea conducting ballistic missile tests. And in recent weeks, we've also seen North Korea sending balloons filled with garbage across the DMZ into South Korea. So we're certainly seeing increased tensions at this time. This all comes as Washington and its allies are urging Pyongyang to abandon its nuclear and ballistic missile programs.
Right. Also, William, North Korea condemned drills by US, Japan, South Korea's Asian NATO last month. Now, any reactions from North Korea as of now?
Well, North Korea certainly sees these kind of military drills, this kind of alliance between the likes of South Korea, Japan and the United States as an existential threat. Seeing these military drills very much as a precursor and invasion planning, something, of course, the likes of Washington and Seoul vehemently deny, saying that, in fact, they're just responding from the threats posed by North Korea itself. That is why included in these military drills are a few days from the 19th to the 22nd that will be based purely on evacuation drills should there be a nuclear threat and a potential nuclear attack posed by Pyongyang. So just adding to the gravity of this situation. Of course, the war of words over a number of months now has certainly been dramatic from North Korea, very much urging the likes of Washington and North Korea to step down in these military drills. So these exercises certainly heighten already high tensions in the region.
All right. Thank you so much, William, for all that update from there. And moving on, dozens of relatives of the victims of enforced disappearance victims on Tuesday gathered in front of the office of the new Bangladeshi chief advisor seeking justice. On Tuesday, UNIS met relatives of the victims. One of the groups gathered there were Mayor Diak, a group of mothers, sisters and wives of missing people. Bangladesh's Nobel Peace Prize winning economist Muhammad Yunus was sworn in as the head of the country's caretaker government last week, days after Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina was forced to quit and flee the country following violent protest. Yunus promised the families to take action to find out what had happened to the disappeared people, mostly Hasina's opponents, and justice. And amid turmoil in neighbouring Bangladesh, the Border Security Force, along with other law enforcement agencies, have apprehended 16 Bangladeshi nationals from the Agartala railway station. This is for the second day in a row that the security agencies have been successful in nabbing the Bangladeshi infiltrators. The individuals were detained by local authorities and a case has been registered at the Agartala Government Railway Police Station under various sections of the law. And for more, DD India's Nawaz Singh Parmar joins us from East India's Kolkata and Kunal Shinde joins us from North East India's Agartala. Well, good morning to both of you. Nawaz Singh, my first question to you. Can you give us an entire update on the situation at India-Bangladesh border right now? Also, first statement has come from Sheikh Hasina after leaving Bangladesh, urging the public to observe National Mourning Day on August 15th. Any reactions on that too?
Well, regarding the border update, my colleague Kunal will be more appropriate person. But regarding the statement from the Sheikh Hasina about the observing the National Mourning Day in Bangladesh, 15th August is a martyr day of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, first or who spearheaded the Bangladesh Liberation War in 1971. And yesterday, a decision came from the interim government that they will cancel the public holiday on 15th of August. However, Sheikh Hasina made a call to people of Bangladesh to observe the mourning day on 15th August. So tomorrow, the situation will be tense in Dhaka because tomorrow is the birthday of Khalida Zia, who is the chairperson of Bangladesh Nationalist Party, and also the mourning day of the Bangladesh and the martyr day of the Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. So situation will be tense and people are thinking about what will happen tomorrow because both parties have given a call to celebrate or observe. The BNP is to celebrate the birthday, while the Awami League is to observe the mourning day of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Situation will be people's all eyes on the tomorrow's development. At the same time, in Bangladesh, the phase of arrest, phase of termination of the high-level police official and the registration of the police case has been going on. Yesterday, two senior-most police officers of the Bangladesh, particularly in the Dhaka Metropolitan Police, have been their service have been terminated. At the same time, in the Rangpur division, IGP of the Rangpur range as well as the police commissioner of Rangpur, which is the major town in North Bangladesh, have been terminated. At the same time, former law minister Anishul Lehman and private industry advisor to Israel Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina have been arrested while they were trying to run away from the Bangladesh at the Sadarghat, Dhaka. At the same time, police case have been registered against the Sheikh Hasina and some of the police official and the two of her minister in Rangpur, where the case has been made against them that they are responsible for the murder. So these are the political developments in Bangladesh, particularly in Dhaka and other parts.
Right. My second question to you, Kunal. A lot of infiltration has been happening at the border since the last few days. What's the situation now at the Agartala border, also to counter the violence on minorities? Muhammad Yunus also visited temple yesterday.
Well, Litakshi, again the spotlight comes on the security aspect with the arrest of the 16 Bangladeshi nationals from the Agartala railway station yesterday. This is perhaps for the first time in last 2 weeks that such a huge number of Bangladeshi nationals have been arrested in Tripura, which is very bordering Bangladesh. So day before yesterday also we saw that 4 Bangladeshi nationals were arrested from a locality, Nandan Nagar locality in Agartala, and yesterday's arrest again. Like these 16 Bangladeshi nationals who have been arrested by the GRP, that is the Government Railway Police, in cooperation, or should I say in joint coordination with the Border Security Force and Anti-Human Trafficking team. So these all 16 nationals will be tried under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which has come into force, which is among the 3 new criminal laws which has come into force on July 1st. that is last month. And this one thing I want to mention over here is that among these 16 nationals, one thing that is very very heartwarming or very heart-wrenching for that matter is that there is one small baby also in a part of this. So she's an infant. So and from also there are 3 women who's part of this group which have been arrested by the government railway police and the BSF. So it again, like this is a matter of serious concern when it comes to the infiltration of the Bangladeshi nationals, because like all these 16 people who have been arrested, they fall under the age group of say 20 to 40 years.
Right.
So from this prima facie it appears that why these nationals, Bangladeshi nationals, must have come towards Indian side. So it seems that for the better job prospects because of the instability in their own country,
right,
and for a better future. But entering into the Indian territory with illegal documents, and also a tout has also been arrested. So these nationals, Bangladeshi nationals, had also forged the documents. The Aadhaar card was
right,
fake. And primarily in the beginning, initially they staked claim that they were Indians, but because of the thorough investigation, probing by the investigating agencies,
right,
they
all right,
that they have come from Bangladesh.
Yes.
And
right. Thank you so much, Kunal and Naval Singh, for all that update on both the sides. And moving on, renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik created a sand sculpture to express solidarity for the victims of the recent attacks on minorities in Bangladesh. The sand sculpture with the message, "Let peace prevail, stop religious attack," was created at East India's Puri beach. And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Africa's top public health body declares mpox as public health emergency of continental security. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns spread of the viral infection at an alarming rate, which is transmitted through close contact and causes flu-like symptoms. Alphabet's Google unveils new Pixel smartphones with deeper integrations of its artificial intelligence technology at Alphabet's Bayview campus in California. Along with this, Google also announced new versions of its smartwatch, the Pixel Watch 3 and Pixel Buds Pro 2 wireless earbuds. And still to come, DD India News Hour. India's President Draupadi Murmu to address the nation today on the eve of 78th Independence Day, speech to be broadcasted today at 7 p.m. IST. We bring you reports as India sets to celebrate its 78th Independence Day, marking a significant milestone in the nation's history. Good news from the economic front, India's direct tax collections have surged.
We have with us a very special guest, Olympic bronze medalist Swapnil Kusale. When we talk about you and your journey from TTE to an Olympic bronze medalist,
journey is quite long and lots of challenges I faced, but it's a good journey for me till now, so I'm happy.
You got a call from Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
He called and say Namaskar Bhau, kaise aap, like in Marathi language, so it was good to hear that.
We're live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News. I'm Nipakshi Khurana, and time now for a quick recap of the headlines. Ukraine continues to advance deeper into Russia's Kursk region. US calls Ukraine incursion a real dilemma for Putin. As tension escalates, Israel issues new evacuation orders for southern Gaza. Meanwhile, US approves more than $20 billion of weapons sales to Israel. Japan set for yet another new leader as Japanese Prime Minister PM Kishida to step down as ruling party leader in September. Judgment Day for Thailand Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin as court rules on dismissal case. And India's resident doctors call off strike after assurance from government on safety demands, while the investigative agency CBI takes over probe into Kolkata doctors' rape murder case. And moving on, India's President Draupadi Murmu will address the nation today on the eve of 78th Independence Day. The speech will be broadcasted today at 7 p.m. IST across the entire national network of Akashvani and telecasted on all Doordarshan channels. The President's address will initially be aired in Hindi, followed by an English version. Following this, regional language broadcast will be presented by Doordarshan's regional channels, ensuring the message reaches the diverse audience across the country. Additionally, Akashvani will broadcast the regional language versions at 9:30 p.m. on its respective regional networks. Well, from currency notes to government schemes, Mahatma Gandhi's legacy continues to shape modern India. This report by DD India's Anu Kaushik tells us about the role Gandhi played in the Indian independence movement. Take a look.
9th January 1915 marked a watershed moment in the Indian freedom struggle when Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi returned to India after successfully spearheading a civil rights movement in South Africa. The subsequent years saw him emerge as the leader of the freedom struggle, eventually culminating into the country's independence from the British in 1947. Upon his return, Gandhi undertook a journey of India on the advice of his mentor Gopal Krishna Gokhale. In 1917, Gandhi launched Satyagrah, a form of civil resistance movement to fight for the rights of indigo farmers in Champaran in the present-day Bihar state. This was only the stepping stone for Gandhi. Indians from all walks of life joined his campaign, which was based on ahimsa or non-violence, satyagrah and non-cooperation. Gandhi, who was honored with the title of Mahatma or the Great Soul, was vocal about issues that resonated with ordinary Indians. The Dandi March or the Salt Satyagrah was a testament to this. In 1930, Gandhi, along with 78 volunteers, led a march to the coastal town of Dandi in Gujarat. Over the course of more than 20 days, thousands of people joined the march, which saw Gandhi break the salt law imposed by the British. With the call for do or die in 1942, Mahatma Gandhi launched the Quit India movement to end the colonial rule in India. The British responded with a brutal crackdown. Gandhi and other independence leaders, along with thousands of ordinary Indians, were jailed. When Gandhi was released in 1944, the British were in talks with the Muslim League for the partition of India based on religious lines. Gandhi vehemently opposed the partition. When communal violence broke out, he travelled across riot-hit areas calling for peace. On 30th January 1948, Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, was assassinated. To say that this was the end of an era would be an understatement.
From Martin Luther King Jr. to Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi has influenced leaders across the globe. Decades after independence, he continues to inspire Indians. His ideas like self-sufficient economy not only remain relevant but are intrinsic to India. With camera person Naveen Kumar, this is Anu Kaushik reporting for DD India.
Well, the identity of India is in its tricolour flag, which has its own story. Also known as Tiranga, it is the pride of every Indian. This tricolour has evolved through many changes. Let's take a look at the history of India's flag in this report.
August 15, 1947, a day etched in the annals of history as the dawn of a new nation. 77 years ago, India broke free from the shackles of colonialism,
to be replaced by the banner of the new Indian government.
Marking its independence with the adoption of the tricolour on July 22, 1947. Crafted as a symbol of unity, strength and freedom, the Indian flag, also known as the Tiranga, features horizontal bands of saffron, white and green, with the Ashoka Chakra at its centre. But have you ever pondered on the origins of this iconic design? 1904, Sister Nivedita designed the first flag featuring red and yellow colors with symbols of Vajra and lotus. 1906, Sachindra Prasad Bose and Sukumar Mitra created the Calcutta flag with blue, yellow and red stripes. 1907, Madame Kama hoisted India's flag abroad for the first time in Germany, featuring saffron, yellow and green stripes. 1917, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Mrs. Annie Besant conceived the Home Rule flag adorned with 7 stars and symbols of the Union Jack. 1921, Pingali Venkaya introduced a tricolored flag with white, green and red stripes bearing a charkha, symbolizing economic revival. 1931, the flag was refined to its current tricolored format of orange, white and green, with the charkha exclusively on the white band at the center, symbolizing India's journey towards independence and unity. The saffron band represents courage and sacrifice. The white band symbolizes purity and truth, and the green band represents faith and chivalry. The Ashoka Chakra with 24 spokes was added to the center of the flag, representing the eternal wheel of law and dharma of the nation. With a rich tapestry of historical flags preceding the tricolor's inception, the evolution of India's national emblem is a testament to the nation's journey towards independence and unity. Sujata Lochak, along with Aditi, for DD India.
Well, today is the 4th time the nation is observing Partition Horrors Remembrance Day. It was in 2021 that India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the call to mark the occasion when India's colonial rulers decided to announce and implement the partition of a unified India into 2 parts, independent India and independent Pakistan. The sudden decision not only led to the biggest displacement ever in human history, but also led to mass rioting, raping, looting and other horrible crimes which make for sobering moments each year, ahead of India's Independence Day on the 15th of August.
The 14th of August 1947, a date recorded in the pages of history in infamy as it crossed all limits of inhumanity, cruelty and barbarism. The partition of a unified India into 2 independent nations of Bharat and Pakistan remains a painful scar of its colonial past. Official records say communal clashes during the throes of partition claimed over 1 million lives. 55,000 Hindu and Sikh women were either abducted or raped. The tussle between Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the Congress party leadership at that time led to the partition of India.
It's one of the biggest tragedies in written history. There were countless murders of innocents who were not at fault at all. 4 people sat around a table and decided their fate without their having any say in it. This was not displacement, it was a massacre. Only the lucky survived, but even after having survived, they lost their parents, brothers, sisters, everything. They were left alone in this world. This cannot be termed displacement at all.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave a call in 2021 to mark Partition Horrors Remembrance Day on the 14th of August to pay tribute to all those who lost their lives and were displaced from their roots due to India's partition. The aim was to make the current and future generations more aware of the painful memories associated with the partition.
अब से हर वर्ष 14 अगस्त को विभाजन विभीषिका स्मृति दिवस के रूप में याद किया जाएगा। जो लोग विभाजन के समय अमानवीय हालात से गुजरे, जिन्होंने अत्याचार सहे, जिन्हें सम्मान के साथ अंतिम संस्कार तक नसीब नहीं हुआ, उन लोगों का हमारी स्मृतियों में जीवित रहना भी उतना ही जरूरी है।
The present central government has also done the work of preserving the memories of the horrors of partition. it has made the effort to ensure that these memories are never forgotten and live on from generation to generation in the form of a memorial. The younger generation is also taking pains to connect itself with this endeavour, to learn about the mistakes of the past so that they're never repeated and the nation remains united.
I want that our younger generation should remember the sacrifices made by our freedom fighters and our forefathers.
There are things here which we hadn't read about in our textbooks. Everything is explained and depicted very vividly, and it tells us all about the painful experiences people went through in that phase.
The partition led to the largest displacement in human history in the world, impacting over 20 million people. People had to leave their ancestral homes and other assets behind. Millions crossed borders to settle down as refugees and rebuild their lives from scratch. The wounds of the cleaving of the nation are still fresh in the minds of many such sufferers.
Whenever I recall what happened at that time, I get goosebumps. My head starts to spin and my eyes well up with tears.
Along with the nation's independence came the pain of partition. But the way it unfolded, the kind of circumstances it created, cannot be recounted.
The pain of the nation's partition can never be forgotten. While celebrating its independence, a grateful nation also pays homage to those sons and daughters of the motherland who lost their lives in the frenzy of retribution following the partition. Gautam Roy, DD India.
And moving on to some other stories now, in a major development in the case of gruesome rape and murder of Kolkata's junior doctor on August 9th, Calcutta's High Court has transferred the case to the Central Bureau of Investigation. Following the nationwide protest of the doctors, the agency promptly completed all necessary formalities within hours of the Calcutta High Court's order, instructing the state police to transfer the case documents to the Central Probe Agency. A team of CBI officials from Delhi, along with forensic scientists and medical experts, will visit Kolkata on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Federation of Resident Doctors Association called off its strike after meeting Union Minister J.P. Nadda. Moreover, as per the directions of the Union Health Minister J.P. Nadda, the National Medical Commission has issued an advisory for all medical colleges and institutions for ensuring a safe workplace environment. And India's net direct tax collection grew 22.5% to $83 billion between 1st April and 11th August of the current fiscal. As per data released by the country's Income Tax Department on Monday, net personal income tax has outpaced net corporation tax in the latest tax collection figures. Net personal income tax reached $53.8 billion compared to $41.4 billion during the same period last year. Well, Asian shares rose amid soft U.S. producer prices data that stirred hopes that consumer price inflation would be benign, sending bond yields lower. The Kiwi dollar fell 0.7% after the Reserve Bank of New Zealand cut interest rates to 5.25% and forecasted more easing, while Japanese yen strengthened slightly following news of PM Kishida's resignation, leading to mixed performance in Asian stock indices. U.S. equity futures were steady and commodities saw gains. And some weather updates now. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued an orange alert for the central state of Rajasthan for isolated very heavy rainfall. The Weather Observatory further predicted isolatory heavy rainfall in other areas, including the western Himalayan region, Uttar Pradesh and eastern India in the next 7 days. Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka are likely to receive isolated heavy to very heavy rainfall. Delhi NCR is likely to have scattered to fairly widespread rainfall over the week. More than 100 people have been killed in rain-related incidents in Himachal Pradesh. Landslides, flash floods have led to closure of 338 roads, including 4 national highways. The Regional Met Office has issued a yellow alert for heavy rain in isolated parts of the state till Saturday. Well, DD India correspondent Tapas Bhattacharya joins us from New Delhi for more on the weather update. Well, Tapas, good morning. What's been the update from the Met Department? Will the current mayhem continue?
Well, it is expected to stay like that till the end of the week at least. That as far as IMD is concerned. and they believe, in fact, there is a yellow alert for most of the northwest part of the country. And there is a reason behind that. I was talking to the IMG scientists, and they said that currently the monsoon trough is near its original place, and it's actually oscillating most of the time during the day, especially in its trough. And then there is also a cyclonic circulation that is currently over northwest of Rajasthan and neighboring areas extending up to the middle troposphere. So this particular cyclonic circulation is actually the remnant of the deep depression that formed and ended around the 6th of August. But the cyclonic circulation is still there, so the remnant of that particular deep depression is still there, and which is actually, along with the monsoon trough, is creating such a huge problem over northwest part of the country. As I mentioned, most of the areas, Delhi, Rajasthan, East Uttar Pradesh, West Uttar Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, all these places have been declared, they have declared yellow alert in all these places. In fact, in East Rajasthan, at the weekend, they believe that the rainfall activity is expected to reach its height. So they believe that there is a good chance of rainfall activity picking up at that time. So that is one part of it. Then there is also areas around the southern part of the country where another cyclonic circulation is currently prevailing over Pakistan, over Bangladesh, as well as other places, and where there is also the trough that is going on. There is cyclonic circulation which is over the troposphere. So those areas and along with another cyclonic circulation over southeast Pakistan and adjoining Rajasthan is also leading to a accelerated rainfall activity, not just in the northwest part of the country, but also in the eastern as well as in the southern part of the country. So these are the reason why we are seeing such a heavy rainfall activity here in India.
All right, after yellow alert issued so vastly, any precautions or advisories issued, or what are the preparations being made to avert any untoward incident?
Right, so the advisory has been issued by the IMG and has been given to all the states that are going to be affected by it. They are coming out with almost every day. They are coming out with 3 advisories at least. So the states have been, given a warning much in advance. Now it is up to the states how to go about it and how to take those advices. For instance, in Uttarakhand and places in Himachal Pradesh which are prone to landslides, the administration have been told to keep a check on any sort of idea where if there is even a hint of a landslide, they can stop the tourists flocking those areas.
Right.
This is it's a long weekend and people are flocking to the hilly areas. And same with the southern part of the country, same with the eastern part of the country. So authorities are keeping a check on any sort of hint of any untoward incidents, and they will be they will swung in action. They are prepared as far as the IMD's advisory is concerned.
All right, Tapas, thank you so much for all that weather update. While you're watching DD India News Hour, time now for some sports news. India Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia met and felicitated Olympics bronze medalist Aman Shehrawat in the national capital. Shehrawat beat Darian Toy Cruz of Puerto Rico by 13-5 to bag bronze and registered India's 6th medal at the event in Paris. Shehrawat became India's youngest ever medalist at Olympics at the age of 21. Tokyo Olympic silver medalist Ravi Dahiya was also present there.
बहुत अच्छा स्वागत हुआ, बहुत बढ़िया फील कर रहा हूँ। मतलब इतना प्यार और आशीर्वाद जो लोगों ने दिया आज, तो उनका तहे दिल से शुक्रिया। अभी तो ब्रोंज मिला है, अभी तो यही सोच रहे हैं भाई इसका रंग चेंज करेंगे, ब्रोंज में गोल्ड करेंगे, तो उसी की प्रैक्टिस करेंगे।
Well, the Court of Arbitration for Sport extended the decision on Indian wrestler Vinesh Phogat's appeal to be awarded the joint silver medal in the women's 50 kg freestyle category postponed to August 16th. It was earlier announced that the verdict will be made public on August 13th. This is the second time that the announcement has been delayed. Vinesh was disqualified from the gold medal bout against eventual winner Sarah Hildebrandt of United States as she was found 100 grams above the prescribed limit. Vinesh appealed to the CAS and demanded a joint silver medal alongside Guzman Lopez, who replaced her for the final bout following the disqualification. And a captivating time-lapse showcasing the moon setting among vibrant red and green auroras was released on Monday. The stunning moment was followed by a sunrise that illuminated the Soyuz spacecraft docked to the International Space Station. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.